Hey everybody, Leah Klett here with the Christian Post. I'm so excited today to be joined by actor and director Kevin Costner. We're talking about his brand new Christmas special, which is airing on ABC December 9th. Well, Kevin, I tend to watch Christmas specials with a fairly critical eye. I love Christmas movies. I love the church. And I have to tell you, this was so fantastic. There's such a clear gospel message throughout the entire thing.
Good. I was hoping that it could, I was hoping that people could enjoy it.
So, one of my favorite things is in the beginning how you talk about how you performed in the church's yearly nativity production, which I would have loved to see little Kevin in the church's nativity play. So, you basically got your start acting in the church, which is so cool. How did that impact kind of the trajectory of your career?
Well, I was a rascal. I was asked to be a shepherd. I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know what acting was. You just be a shepherd. You have this big long stick. So don't fight any kids with it. I mean, I was a rascal. I didn't go through life dreaming of being an actor, but the church was very much a part of my life. And when I decided that we would do this, I'm so glad you said you liked it for a couple of reasons. One, I felt it was really important that I make sports movies, I make cowboy movies, I make some movies where I'm with, women or whatever, you know what I mean, adult, adult related movies, dramas, if you will. Um, and then but sometimes you're not always dealing with your faith.
Mhm.
Um, People maybe don't think of me in some way. Maybe that was for you to even know that I would do this. I wouldn't have done this had it not been important to me because of how I was raised. And I was raised in a Baptist church. And so the idea was that it was interesting that everybody agreed that I should explain my entry into religion. So I didn't want to just be a famous face in front of a religious story. That had an application, that I'm very human about what it was, the you know the story is the story. And I felt that if we humanized me a little bit, maybe
Mhm.
the entry into a story that we think we know a lot about is made more human or something.
It really highlights the humanity of Mary and Joseph. And I love that you bring that up. What were some maybe misconceptions you had about the first Christmas and about, Jesus's birth that were maybe unraveled while you created this series?
It's nothing specific. The most of the words you said, Nazareth, Bethlehem, Herod, these names that are familiar to us. Did we do a deeper dive? That's up to you to know if we covered any new ground for you. But something was really compelling for me early on, and I knew it in my heart. But sometimes when it's articulated, it was what it was. And I really, it was important to invite in the believer, the skeptic, and the
Mhm.
curious. But what, for me, reminding myself that this was a pregnant, unwed teenage girl,
Mhm.
and he's just the same. They were kids, and they were in this incredible journey. And the story has lived for thousands of years, and they were teenagers, and that was fraught with danger. You know, Babies were slaughtered over this issue that a proclaimed king had, was coming. These prophecies. I mean, we sometimes forget that these were real times. The Romans and these cultures, and the stakes were so high. Life was so not valued, and that this teenagers had to protect their own lives and protect their child that we proclaim as a son of God. But theirs was a fight for life, and at such a young age, and that I it helped lodge the story for me a little bit.
Well, Mary and Joseph's faith meant trusting God without seeing the entire plan unfold. In your own life or career, have you experienced moments where faith required a similar kind of courage like Mary and Joseph?
I certainly you're tested. We're all tested. And I'm tested sometimes in a very public way.
Mhm.
It's your life is up for grabs in these days. Information, what people can say. It seems almost like anything goes, and you're tested, and you don't. Sometimes you don't have the ability to even answer. Sometimes you don't want to answer back because it's so whatever it is. But I have been tested, but I've also been propped up through my religion. There's a moment in time where you think you're pulling us all together, and I just have always, let's face it, religion is something that you can really poke fun at very easily, very quickly, and you can be in a room with intellectuals who don't believe, and they can ask you two or three questions that can stop you cold, and you believe this and you believe that. Okay, I get it. I get that you've broken it down, but faith is something that you hold inside you and you understand, and it guides you. How you behave in critical situations. Even the person. So I invited the cynic to sit with us. They don't have to believe but they do believe this story has endured. Um, think about all the men that and women that we're seeing right now. Will their names travel through time for thousands of years?
So, after spending so much time immersed in the Nativity story, what does the message of Christmas mean to Kevin Costner today?
We've highlighted that it for Christians, that it centers around the birth of this child, the promise that he was coming, and that the message he would be bringing would of one of peace, and how you would treat your neighbor, and how you live a life uh, morally inside of very tough conditions. How do you do that? Because you're subject to all the failings that we have as people, where we have the feet of clay, right? We know how to behave. Do we behave? We know how to behave when people are looking. Do we know how to behave when they're not? We do. It's what we do, though, is what defines us. And that we find our humanness, our frailty. Um, the Christmas, the chance to refocus is Christmas can help us recalibrate. For Christians, you can recalibrate. And we take stock of those that mean something to us. And so what do we do in this day and time? We buy them presents. That's our way of doing things to honor them. Sometimes we go overboard, but we're human. Let's give ourselves a break. I mean, your ornaments, you got a lot there. Are we at your house right now?
We are.
Look at all your knick-knack paddywhack stuff. You got a lot of stuff. What does that have to do with, but it doesn't mean you don't have faith. It doesn't mean that God hasn't had his hands on your life, made a difference to you, your brothers, your sisters, in the future, how that is. I just choose to feel guided, not that I'm really lucky.
Well, Kevin, it was so nice to talk to you. And I have 4 kids under 8, and they decorated this gorgeous tree.
Yeah, I got one going. I got the lights on, but I need the kids to put the junk on, you know. And there's stuff up there that means saying our old dogs that still have you see their little names. There's a moment where we get reminded of things in just an instant. It'll take us back somewhere.